Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I'm here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Happy election eve.
Yeah, it's not very happy.
No, it's not very happy.
Stay off the internet.
If you've been to social media, it's not very happy. There's a lot of people out there fighting. You know what? You can duke it out. You can duke it out at the polls tomorrow, and we'll figure out where we're at. But one person who's not going to fight about politics, even though he is opinionated if you follow him on Twitter, but he's not going to hate you for having a different opinion than him. That is
like a rational person.
Like a rational person.
An adult.
That is Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself, Hamill himself on Twitter. Now, somebody said to him, the real Darth Davis said, "I'm a huge fan of your work, and though we disagree politically, I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion. That's what makes this country great, when we can have opposing opinions and still have mutual respect." To which Mark Hamill, rationally, said, "Thanks so much. I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
Just because we have different political views doesn't make us enemies."
Yes.
I get some pretty intense hate tweets in response, but never block those who send them. Even the guy who wrote, "It makes me happy you're old and will die soon."
Well, that person's an asshole.
That person is an asshole.
Because just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean you should wish them death. But yeah, look, you can actually.
Who's this guy?
Oh, that's the biggest asshole.
I know.
But I'm just saying, yes, this is like an adult perspective, and look, you don't block fans.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? And they like you, even if it's so funny because people keep trying to turn everything that's going on in different fandoms and Star Wars and comics and all that into this big political thing, when really a lot of fans, regardless of where they fall in the political spectrum, they just want to be treated with respect. They want to be heard. They don't want to be blocked if they haven't done anything wrong.
Right.
And going with comics, you look at what happened with with Alterna Comics when they flat out said, "Hey, we're not going to let our creators use block bots. If you want to work for us, don't do that because it reflects
poorly." Which they are allowed to say. We've worked for many companies,
right? They can say that
have had guidelines for social media, and if you want to work there and you want paid, you agree to the guidelines. That is not unusual.
No, it's not unusual. And the comic book cabal came unhinged and they attacked Alterna Comics, which thankfully, in the end, worked out for Alterna because their sales just completely blew up. I think they blew up like 1,000% because fans on whatever side of the political aisle they are on, they are tired of being blocked and prematurely accused of wrongdoing, even though they haven't done anything wrong. So let's compare Mark Hamill's very sane, very logical, very rational response to this gentleman to Chuck Wendig. Chuck Wendig, who was fired from Marvel Comics, fired from Lucasfilm. Chuck Wendig compared to Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill said, "Winter's coming, you callous fucknecks. You prolapsed assholes, you grotesque monsters, you racists and rapists and wretched abusers, you vengeful petty horrors."
Yeah.
Okay. Chuck Wendig.
You don't agree, so I'm assuming that's everybody who doesn't agree with him.
Slightly different tone of voice than Mark Hamill, and this is why Mark Hamill was, is, and always will be a Jedi Master, and Chuck Wendig is unemployed. Also, another Star Wars.
That's my favorite picture.
Star Wars alum here. Yeah, this is the.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate this photo. Just look at them. Like, they're just like, God help me. God help me.
I figured it out. It took us months to figure out why they look like they're in pain. Look at the gesture that Rian Johnson is making to John Boyega.
I think he's trying to. I've said this before. I think he's trying to explain the size of
his
the
lightsaber.
Yeah. But look, just look at John Boyega's face. He's just like, I'm smiling, but it hurts.
I am dead inside. Last Jedi director Rian Johnson fires back at Star Wars Man Babies. Again, in contrast to Mark Hamill, Rian Johnson, who has said things like what we talk about when we talk about Man Babies, because people didn't like his movie.
Oh, yes, because everybody who doesn't like it are men. Women don't. Every woman loves it.
Now this
one.
Yeah, I know. Now this is interesting because Rian Johnson took it upon himself to be like, on social media, few unhealthy people can cast a big shadow on the wall, But over the past 4 years, I've met lots of real fellow Star Wars fans. We like and dislike stuff, but we do it with humor, love, and respect. But the vast majority are having fun.
Which I agree with that, mostly.
But then this is kind of a backhand. I'm going to tell you, Mark Hamill, same here, but it's been over 40 years for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mark Hamill, whose opinions on how Luke Skywalker should have been treated in The Last Jedi went largely ignored by Rian Johnson. Publicly, I don't think there's ever been any, fisticuffs or anything, but Mark Hamill does look like he's in pain when he does panels with Rian Johnson.
A lot of people look like they're in pain around Rian Johnson by the looks of it.
Yeah, so Rian Johnson has repeatedly attacked fans on Twitter. He is not going to be directing Episode 9, thankfully. We have not heard anything about his... What are we looking
Both
at?
Men are covering themselves in the exact same way.
Oh, no. No, he just wants to pinch it just a little. But Rian Johnson, not directing any more Star Wars movies. They did say something about a trilogy. They haven't confirmed any of that. Rian Johnson is not liked by the fandom, by a big chunk of the fandom. Mostly, again, it's not even the movie itself. Like, The Last Jedi divided people, but it's the sort of behavior by Rian Johnson and Chuck Wendig, etc., people representing Lucasfilm that actually turned more people, I think, against the franchise.
Because you're going to, when you have a franchise as big as something like Star Wars, you're going to have people who politically align with you, and you're going to have probably about as many people who do not.
Right.
And you know what? It's separate from politics. It is, I mean, I'm not saying there's politics in the film, but what I'm saying is it's a movie. It's an IP. It's where people go to escape. It's not meant to be that polarized political battlefield for you to use to insult half the fan base.
Right.
No matter which side you're on. I mean, somebody else could be on the opposite side for another film and insult half their fan base too. It's just not smart business, and it's not, a good thing to do.
Yeah, and if you insult half your fan base, you wind up with half the dollars you could have had.
Yeah, and just because they don't agree with you politically doesn't mean that you don't have a lot of other things in common. I mean, I don't know what this think is lately, that basically if someone doesn't vote the same way as you have nothing else in common, everything, you're 100% wrong. When I bet you if you look into it, you probably have a lot of things in common if you actually would shut your mouth and look.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just, just that social media is just, it's brought out the worst in people. It really has. It's really unfortunate. But thankfully, we have folks like Mark Hamill, who, even if he disagrees with you, if you follow his Twitter, he's not a fan of Donald Trump. He's an outspoken, but he does not call anyone who voted for Donald Trump terrible things.
Right, but
he just says, I don't approve of Donald Trump. And
some of it, I think, is just the era of which he came from, and how you...
More civilized time.
More civilized age, yes. Yep. I have to wonder, but it's just... I don't know, I can't wrap my head around it. It's just the way people are behaving in general over this stuff is just mind-blowing to me. I just can't even. I'm just
So get out and vote tomorrow, folks. We really don't care who you vote for. Just don't hate on people who voted for somebody different than you.
Right, and you don't owe anybody your explanation about who you voted for. You don't have to tell anybody who you voted for if you don't feel comfortable doing so. And they have no right to ask you, honestly. Just vote how you think you should. Just make sure you vote. And you know what? Just because you vote differently than somebody else does not make them your enemy. Other than, you just have different political views. There's lots of things you have in common if you look, I'm sure. Especially in fandoms. I mean, right. And then and contrary to what the narrative is, especially in the things that were, this Comicsgate, not Comicsgate, anti-Comicsgate, Gamergate, anti-Gamergate, whatever you want to call these things. There are people of both political bents on both sides. Mm-hmm. It's not like, I don't know where this came from, this whole one side's this and one side's that. And it's like, no. It's like there's a lot of people that believe different things. They're different races, different ethnicities, different orientations, different all kinds of stuff on both sides. And it's never as black and white as political extremists make it out to be. A lot of people are in this kind of gray area, and most people fall somewhere in the spectrum. They're not far left, they're not far right, and just be cool to each other. Try to be cool to each other. Do what Mark Hamill says. Do what Mark Hamill says. Listen to Luke Skywalker. This is why he's the Jedi Master. This is why we needed Luke alive. Now more than ever. Yes, so you got anything else you want to add to this? No.
All right, we're going to wrap this one up, guys. Again, go out and vote. We don't care who you vote for. You don't have to tell us. Don't care. Just do it. This has been Clownfish TV.
Yep.
We'll see you later.
Bye.